And Valentin starts in lane 6 here, the European Under-18 champion from last year. Sprint relay medal as well in the medley. It's pretty tightly packed at the top of the leaderboard. Valentin is one of 4 athletes to have gone inside 23.1. Taborska, Geos, Mokobe, Czechia, Poland and Germany. It could be really close. Jeremic is on the outside for Serbia. Pitaki in 7 now. Valentin, 4th fastest in Europe in this age group. She's got excellent speed endurance over the 400, which is why she made the World Junior Final. Danekova, 11.65 over the 1 and 7.50 indoors over the 60. She's run 23.5. Pojeta, silver medalist in the national champs a couple of times for Poland in 4. Petroci Konings is one of the quickest here, 23.69, and then Schwitter has set a personal best just outside 24 seconds. She's only 17, that PB coming midway through June. So it's Schwitter, Switzerland in 2, Petroci Konings of Belgium in 3, Pojeta, Poland 4, Danekova, Czechia 5, Valentin, the favourite in 6, Pitaka of Cyprus in 7, and Jeremic of Serbia on the outside. Valentin is the quickest in the field on paper. She's a big stage performer. Her lifetime best coming in Banska Bystrica. Perhaps Danekova, the next quickest in this heat, but she's going to have to go some. She's got Valentin outside her. The Italian will be 3rd from the left as we look at it. So these 200s get underway. It's only the top 3 who advance into the semis, plus 6 non-automatic qualifiers. And Danekova is tracking Valentin. All looks comfortable at the moment. Petroci Konings of Belgium running well on the inside. And Danekova putting Valentin under a little bit of pressure. Interesting. Danekova takes it. Valentin and Petroci Konings are the other qualifiers, just outside 24 seconds. It's a minus 1.2. Good run from the Czechia athlete, who has got very good raw speed with that 7.50 indoors over the 60. Good running from the first 3. I don't know whether we read too much into that. Are you surprised that Valentin didn't make that more authoritative, or is it just energy conservation ahead of the semis? What's your assessment of that, PM?
Well, looking at that race, let's have a look at that replay again. I thought Valentin actually ran a very good race, very good bend, but I think what we're possibly overlooking is the fact that Danekova is coming here in absolutely flying form. And I was just looking down at the notes that we have, and her last 200-metre outing, she set a personal best of 23.53. So she's brought her A game here to Tampere. Now Valentin, as you say, I mean, good international experience for someone of her tender ages, and winning that European Under-18 gold last year. I think she knows how to marshal her energies through the rounds, but Danekova, I think, is going to be quite a tough opponent further down the line. Lovely style from Danekova, really powerful running. And let's not also count out Petroci Konings, who did good work to come through in one of the 3 automatic qualifying spots. Not much to choose between them, but Valentin did have to work hard. Might have had to work a little bit harder than she would have imagined in the first round, but she won't be taking anything for granted in the semi.
Danekova from Valentin, Petroci Konings, they are the 3 automatic qualifiers. The rest will have to wait and see. There are 6 non-automatic spots available, but there are 5 heats still to come. But this is the lineup for the second of the heats. Castellani, another one of the brilliant Italians. Valentin has just come second in her heat. Let's see whether the Italian in this one, Castellani, can go one better. She's in cracking form with a 23.23 already this season.
Yes, Castellani, silver medalist behind Valentin, her compatriot who ran in the first heat. This is on the outside. This is Vanessa Stora. Saw her in the 100 metres yesterday. saw Una Jovanovic, and this is Liliana Bruckner. Well, she's the second fastest woman in this field with 23.48. Hungarian travelled all the way to Belgium back in June and got that personal best. Has been running quite so well on home soil. Castellana, big friend of Elisa Valencin, and they also combined to win the sprint medley gold in Banska Bystrica last year. Shinsa Leedam, we saw there, sub-24 performer. She could well be in the mix for one of those automatic qualifying spots. Orafani, reigning Greek national champion. Sluga of Slovenia and Hrankova of Slovakia on the inside. So we've got the hot seats there, but we've only had one heat so far. That'll certainly change. There's Castellani on the outside. On the inside, Barashkova, Slovakia, Sluga, Slovenia, Orafani of Greece, Leerdam, Netherlands, Castellana, Italy, Bruckner of Hungary, Jovanovic, Serbia, and Stora of Finland. And it's good start from Castellani. He's closed down on Bruckner on the outside. Bruckner's a very good sprinter indeed. Leerdam also running well at this moment, so it's the women in lanes 4, 5 and 6, but it's Castellani, the Italian, at the moment, leading the way. She's winning by a good metre from Bruckner, the Hungarian, and Leerdam gets the third place. That went to form. 1, 2, 3 on paper in terms of times coming in here. 1, 2, 3 coming home. Castellani, Brucker, and Leerdam. And Orlandi of the Greek, first to congratulate Castellani. 24.13, so a good result there from Castellani. Cruising through, didn't really look terribly pressed there. Once she got up alongside the shoulder of Bruckner, I think she knew that the race was hers.
Brucker ran well there, you know. She's got a lovely compact style. Leerdam came through nicely for third. Jovanovic, we'll have to wait and see, but such early stages, and there are 6 non-automatic spots. Castellani is an interesting athlete because we've got this group of 4 who've all run between 23.07 and 23.09. Castellani's in kind of no man's land with a 23.2, and then there's nobody within 2/10 of her. We rule her out at her peril. Everybody was waxing lyrical about Valencin with the gold last year, but the silver medalist from Italy, just as talented. 5th fastest in Europe in this age group this year, and that was a very emphatic victory against a good opponent. Brucker ran excellently on her outside for Hungary. Just look at the way Brucker comes around the corner. When the angle changes, I really like the way she runs. There's no, look at that on the left, there's no panic in those shoulders. It's a lovely style. No hint of tension in her shoulders when Castellani came past her. She stuck to her own race and came through really nicely. And she's also running really well this year. Down inside 23.5. So I think this could be developing into a really good race, this women's 200. And that's only 2 down with 6 in total.
There we have it. The second heat won by Margarita Castellani, 24.13. Brucker, Leerdam taking the other automatic qualifying places, and Jovanovic at the moment leading the 4 non-automatic qualifiers.
Right, heat 3, women's 200 metres. Excellent running so far for Tenekova in the first heat for Czechia, and then Castellani of Italy in the second. All eyes will be on Taborska, one of the fastest, joint fastest in Europe. But on the outside, Parnes Colliero of Malta, she ran the heats of the European indoors. There's Janza of Slovenia, national champion indoors and out. Schmitz, silver medalist in the national championship, she's run 23.6 this year. Azari, national under-23 bronze medalist. Now to Taborska, 5 wins this year. She ran the heats of the World Indoors last year in Glasgow. Semi-finalist of the World Juniors. She's a real talent. at 23.07, that PB coming on the 22nd of June. Lucy Talon's run well. She was in the 4x1 in the London Diamond League, in the pre-Diamond League meeting, so she's got experience of running in front of 60,000. And Leana Stadler, she went sub 24 seconds on the 17th of July. So Stadler of Switzerland on the inside in 2, lane 1 is empty. Then Talon of Great Britain, that's PB for her, 23.5, came in Mannheim, that brilliant meet on the 29th of June. Taborska, the fastest, joint fastest in Europe in this age group in 4, the favourite. Azari, Slovakia 5, Schmitz, Germany 6, Janza, Slovenia 7, and Parnis Colliero of Malta in lane 8. Fascinating to see what Taborska will do here. She'll be third from the right-hand side, and she's the last to settle in her blocks. There she is. Taborska really is a force to be reckoned with. Nobody inside 24 seconds yet. Excellent bend by Schmitz. And Taborska now coming into her running, and what a good bend Lucy Talon's having. She's putting Taborska under a little bit of pressure. Lucy Talon from Taborska, 23.66 into a minus 1.2. Well, we hadn't had anybody running inside 24 seconds. We have now. Wow. Talon has just taken apart the joint fastest woman in Europe this year for this age group. Taborska, no disgrace with a 23.8 for second place, but Talon just ran the race of her life. And bearing in mind, she's just run into a minus 1.2 metre headwind, I think she's good value to lower that PB of 23.54 in the semis. Great run.
Absolutely. Just a little more than a 10th outside of her personal best in difficult conditions, into a stiff breeze, and it is a little bit chilly there. Well, today we knew it wasn't going to be as warm as yesterday. Fantastic run from the Briton. 23.65, of course. Britain, such a great tradition of women's sprinters at this championships.
Oh, it's starting to come alive, isn't it?
Very much so. It'll be very interesting to see how Jarno van Dalen responds to that. But in the meantime, we're back on the track with the women's 200 metres. This is heat 4, very quickly getting switching attention. Obviously great interest on the Finnish local broadcast. So we had on the outside Moriba of Latvia, Hagihera of Denmark, Tonazzi of Switzerland, Afrifa, who we saw in the 100 metres of Israel, Bika Kern of Slovenia, Gashos of Poland, and then Gashos, European leader with 23.07. And I'm looking forward to seeing this woman in action. Done so well in the 100 metres, has made the 100 metres final later on tonight. Precious Akpa Moses. 23.66. And I even think this might be Akpa Moses' better event. Not the quickest of starters, which is something of a hindrance in the 100 metres. But once she starts to motor, she's almost unstoppable. So, it's the women in the inside lanes, Akpa Moses and Gashos, who we're keeping an eye on. Good on her as well, Hagihara of Denmark, 23.60, out in lane 7. And Gashos flying away very quickly. Akpa Moses not quite yet into her running. Hagihara doing well on the outside in lane 7 as well. On her inside, Tonazzi came through very strongly of Switzerland. Now Akpa Moses starting to rumble, but it's still Gashos in lane 3, flying away. The fastest woman in Europe this year in the under-20 ranks cruises home in 24.11. And that was into a 2.0 metres per second wind. Yes, no doubt at all. Well, that will have certainly caught the attention of the other runners, such as Valentin and Castellani, heat winners themselves. Tanazzi had a great run there. Might well be a personal best for Tanazzi, and indeed it is. 24.21 and into a very stiff breeze. Shaves a few hundredths off her personal best. I should say season's best. Anyway, good run from Tanazzi, the Swiss runner, and Akpa Moses didn't quite show the form I was expecting the Irishwoman on the inside, but that was a good race.
I wonder whether the inside was a little bit tight for her, bearing in mind how tall she is. I remember when Usain Bolt qualified for his first global final over 200 metres. I think he was drawn in lane 1 in Helsinki in 05, and he pulled his hamstring in the final. I'm pretty sure that happened because he was just far too tall for the inside. Anyway, Gajos there ran so well. She showed why she is joint top of the world leaderboard with Taborska, and to run like that, 24.11 into a 2-metre headwind, was very, very impressive indeed.
Gajorsk 24.11, Tanazzi 24.21, just shading out Akmoses, and they're the 3 automatic qualifiers. Still 2 more heats to go.
Right, to the penultimate heat of the 200 metres. Good line-up here. Safarova will be one of the athletes to watch, along with Ea Hilsdottir. And here is the Icelandic woman. She's got good 400-metre strength, 54.7, and she won in Maribor. I was commentating on that European Team Championships, 2nd division. 10th fastest in Europe this year in this age group. Kachina goes in 7. Safarova just 100th quicker than Helsdottir. So we're watching lanes 6 and 8. She's the under-20 indoor national champion for Czechia. Benti Jacobs, 2nd in the national championships, 23.8 this year. Dimitrova there of Bulgaria, 4 times a national champion if you add up her indoor and outdoor titles. Kemp from Germany, 23.7 this year. Murayubi of Norway, tall figure, a great long jumper and triple jumper. Not a bad sprinter as well with 24.1. And Bendova on the inside, 24.35, that PB coming just at the end of June. So Bendova, Slovakia in 1, Murayubi, Norway in 2, the jumps specialist. Kempf of Germany 3, Dimitrova, Bulgaria 4, Jacobs of the Netherlands in 5, Safarova, the quickest in the field on paper just for Czechia in 6, Kachina, Latvia 7, and Helsdottir in your picture on the outside in 8. Top 3 guaranteed to join a great line of semi-finalists. 6 and 8, the quickest in the field. Well, Helsdottir has to absolutely go for this because she'll be well aware that Safarova is on her inside. I'll tell you what, Kachina's run a brilliant bend, the Latvian. She's put Helsdottir under a little bit of pressure, and Kempf of Germany running really well in lane 3. Now Safarova coming into her running. Wow, Safarova, Kempf and Helsdottir, but Helsdottir had to bounce back. The smiles belong to Safarova, 23.92. The wind has dropped. The previous heat was won in a -2 metre headwind. That one was negligible. Good run from Safarova. There was an excellent drive phase off the bend from Kempf, which is why she's come home in a qualifying position, and Helsdottir was put under pressure by Kachina and had to work very, very hard to come through for the 3rd automatic spot right on the outside.
Well, really good run there from Safarova in lane 6, coming through so strongly over the second half of the race. Helsdottir had a lot of work to do over the second half of the race. We're expecting her to be a much quicker starter than that, but got through for an automatic qualifying position. But Safarova, well, 9th on the European list at the moment, but that was a really good run from her, breaking 24 seconds in these conditions.
And the pressure's on now for the 6th and final heat of the women's 200 metres.
Yeah, star performer here, as you can see. That's not just a season's best, but a personal best for the German Judith Bilepo Mokobe. She'll be going in lane 5. It's all starting to get very very hot indeed in the 200 metres. Tassin, 17-year-old, recently took a silver medal at the European Youth Olympic Festival. The Frenchwoman out in lane 6 has a really good chance of challenging as well. But the Mokobe, she's 3rd on the European list this year. There's Tassin, who we mentioned, 2nd in that European Youth Olympic Festival, just 17 years of age, the young Frenchwoman. So she's come here in good form. Jucic of Croatia, 19 years of age. Stor of Austria. And then the cameraman stops at Mokobe of Germany. Set that personal best back in May. She's been more or less in the 2050s though subsequently, but still good running from the German. Tittinger of Poland, another woman who's gone inside 24 seconds, perhaps aiming to get through to the semi-finals. Kopanovic, Kanovi and Jorgensen complete the lineup.
And by the way, 24:57 is the slowest of the non-automatic qualifiers. So that's the time required for anyone outside the top 3.
There you can see. Kosina has already got herself qualified, as there's only 8 women in this heat. So, as they settle down for the 6th and final heat of the women's 200 metres, all eyes on Mokobe of Germany, reigning German under-20 champion, but this young woman, Beatrice Tassin, as well, could enter the mix. She's already brewing up for some absolutely fabulous semi-finals tomorrow. Well, flying out of the bright sunlight like a Spitfire, or perhaps a Messerschmitt, it's Mokobe. And Mokobe is absolutely dominating this race. She's streaking away on the inside. Kanovi and Jorgensen doing well at the moment. They're really battling for those automatic qualifiers. But Mokobe comes through and she's easing up. 23.87 into a 1.8 meters per second win. Superb running from the German. Kanovi gets 2nd and Cruz Jorgensen 3rd. A little bit disappointing. Tassin's 4th, but I'm pretty sure she's run quick enough to see herself through as the fastest non-automatic qualifier. That's subject to confirmation. No doubt at all, though. Mokobe, 23.87, one of the fastest times of this morning in these heats. And Kanovi, superb run from the Italian. She's certainly excelled herself, very close to her best.
Lovely acceleration and bend from Mokobe, proving why she's so high up the leaderboard, tied with Valencin on a season's best of 23.11. And I think, bearing in mind she's just run 23.87 into a almost 2-meter headwind, I think there are some big PBs coming in these semi-finals. This could be a very, very tight final. There's a lot of young women arriving here in the form of their life, and if the wind drops come the final, it could be very, very fast indeed. Tassin will make it, by the way, in 4th with 24.34. So a breathless storm of heats in the women's 200 metres, and it bodes brilliantly for the semis, it really does.
Confirmation of those times in that 6th and final heat. Mokobe 23.87 takes the plaudits. Kanovi following her home with a good race from the Italians.
Valencin and Mokpo will be the favourites here in 6 and 7. Equal 3rd on the European lists this year. Valencin, the European under-18 champion last year. Mokobe, national champion for the last 2 years. Helsdottir on the outside, 7th best in Europe this year. She ran an excellent 100 metres in the European team champs a month or so ago. Then to Mokobe, 23.11 this year. The German is in the form of her life, and she might need to be, because she's got Eliza Valencin on her inside. She was one of the stars of the show in Banska Bystrica last year. It's cooler here, different conditions, but she still needs to deliver. Silvia Dinechkova 10th best in Europe this year, had a PB on the 22nd of June. Mila Tanazi, season's best in qualifying. Yet to go inside 24 seconds, might need to today. Amaya Cruz-Jorgensen, national indoor champion for the last 2 years. Then to Bente Jacobs, silver medalist in the sprint double at the Netherlands Championships, the 1 and the 2, 23.8 this year. And Bika Kern, national champion last year. She has run inside 24 seconds this year, and she'll need to here. So Bika Kern, Slovenia in 1, Jacobs, Netherlands in 2, Kruse-Jorgensen of Denmark 3, Tanazi, Switzerland in 4, Danikova of Switzerland, of Czechia in 5, Valencin, there in your picture. The Italian, 3rd from the outside, 6th in the World Under-20 400 last year, so she's developing great strength as well as raw speed in her legs. Mokobe, the German, in the form of her life in 7, and Helsdottir of Iceland on the outside. The favourites start in 6 and 7. Let's watch the fireworks fly here on a Saturday lunchtime in Finland. Top 2 coming back for the final later today. A big roar from the crowd in this main stand. Danekova has run well. She's managed to close the gap on Valencin, and Mokobe's run a brilliant bend. This is very competitive here. Mokobe, the German, Valencin is running into problems. Mokobe pulling away, and there's a big opportunity for second spot here, and it's taken by Danekova. Valencin, last year's champion in the European Under-18, is run out of it. 23.11 into a +1 metre headwind. Valencin, for one of the first times in her career, looked tight. And a fabulous run by the Czechia athlete in lane 5, coming home for the second automatic spot.
Well, Mokobe, what a terrific run, equaling her personal best time. And Danikova, she had to run a personal best to get into those 2 automatic qualifying spots. So some terrific running at the sharp end of that race. Bit of a surprise, as we were saying, to see Valencin edged out to the final. She'll play no further part, but we do have 2 very good Italians coming in the next 2 semi-finals as well. But let's not take anything away from Mokobe. 23.11 is very close to the European lead of 23.7. Gadosh, fastest woman in Europe with 23.7. Well, just get their breath back as we look at a replay of that terrific race. And really, once Mokobe got into her running, there was no stopping her. She was very quickly up on the outside of the Icelandic runner on the outside. Helsdottir ran a superb bend, the German, and then just starts pouring it on and pulling away from the rest. Coming through strongly after a rather sluggish start, Danikova. Nice running from the Czechia athlete and rewarded with a personal best eventually. But no stopping Mokobe. Now, it'd be very interesting to see what the other 2 semi-finals bring, but I really do like the look of Mokobe when we're going to get to the final. And there was more there. That was very composed.
Very, very good run to equal her PB after a long morning of waiting around. Valencin will be really, really disappointed with that. She's down in 5th, so no chance of a non-automatic spot for her. Helsdottir, 23.51, and Tanazi. So it's Iceland and Switzerland in the non-automatic spots at the moment. And as soon as she started to come under a little bit of pressure from Danekova around that bend, the Italian, you could sense the tension and the problems began. I agree, Mokobe looked so good there. I think she runs inside 23 in the final.
I think that's a pretty fair bet. And she's really happy. You saw that little clap there. She didn't look as though she was overly stretched either. She did all the hard work in the first half of the race and then just coasted down the home straight. Just poured it on. She must have known from about 70 metres out that she got that race clinched, and clinched well.
Mokobe came here in cracking form and proved it equaling her PB. Danekova inside 23.5 for the first time in her career. Helsdottir and Tanazi will have to wait. Valencin, last year's golden girl in Slovakia, will not be in the final.
It's the second semi-final of the women's 200 metres, and we have Lucy Talon here, the very good Briton. So on the outside, finishing third in her heat, Onsi Leerdam, Dutch woman. Teresa de Borska, she's ran 23.7 personal best this year, equaling the European lead, but only finished second in her heat. Margarita Castellana finished in silver medal position at the European Under-18s last year in Banska Bystrica. Very impressive win for Lucy Talon in her first ever international appearance. No previous appearances at international level really for Talon. Hanna Ruka, Hungarian. She's a 23.48 runner, could be part of the consideration. Mia Schmitz, 23.68 for Schmitz. Not quite as strong as her counterpart Mokobe. Kosina got through as fastest non-automatic qualifier, and out on the outside Dorota Azari, the Slovakian, 23.31. Well, usually the women in the central lanes, so we'd be looking at Bruka, Talon, Castellani and Taborska as possibly the women who provide the two automatic qualifiers. We've had a couple of upsets, not least of which the Bosnian Muzic getting through to the final in the men's semis. So from the inside, Azari, Slovakia, Krasina, Latvia, Schmitz, Germany, Bruka, Hungary, Talon, Great Britain, Castellani, Italy, Taborska, Czechia, and Leerdam of the Netherlands. Well, Talon away in lane 5, very well indeed. Taborska on her outside going well as well, the Czechia athlete. And also coming through strongly, Schmitz. Schmitz had a good bend as well. Taborska was leading around the bend, but Talon now clawed back the deficit, and she's right up on the shoulder of the Czechia athlete, just getting in front. It's going to be just like in the heats. Talon and Taborska, 1 and 2, Great Britain first and Czechia second. 23.37, it's a big personal best for both, for Talon, and Taborska not far away from hers as well. So that shaves over 1/10 of a second of Lucy Talon's personal best, and what's really her first major international outing.
Great run from Talon. I had a feeling she was going to go well. She just seemed to relax into the international environment when she came through her heat yesterday with 23.65, with Taborska behind her in 23.80. Taborska gave her a perfect athlete to chase, with Talon coming through in 5. Schmidt ran well, third from the inside for Germany, but not as fast as Helsdottir or Tanazi from the first of the semi-finals. So it's still the Icelander and the Swiss athlete in the non-automatic positions at the moment. But Taborska, second from the left, ran well and closed down Leerdam of the Netherlands. But Talon, so aggressive, a small, compact, very powerful 200-meter runner. Up onto the shoulder of Taborska, the joint fastest in Europe in this age group this year, and now begins to show her strength. I mean, you might argue that Taborska eased down in the last 5 or 6 meters, but Talon had the momentum, and she should be really looking forward to that final. She's got nothing to lose. It's her first taste of the big stage. Seems as though she's got an excellent temperament for it from what we've seen in the heat and the semi.
Absolutely. One thing that I think is worth noting as well is that she's been coming up through regional teams, the local teams that go to things like the English schools, with Charlotte Henrich as well. They come from near each other. Talon comes from Tunbridge in the southeast of England. Henrich not far away. Henrich, who's vastly more experienced, has been to things like the Commonwealth Youth Games, will have been passing on her experience to Talon. Talon, though, looks really good. Well, Mokobe, I have to say, remains the favourite in my book, but Talon's going to get up there, I'm sure. She doesn't look like the sort of athlete who's going to panic under pressure. Confirmation of the results. Lucy Talon winning in that personal best into a slight breeze, 23.37. Taborska goes through as the automatic qualifier. Schmidt, 23.57 is too slow to get through as a fastest non-automatic qualifier.
The very last instalment of drama on a non-stop Saturday morning. Phil Minchell's put in a shift of probably 6.5 hours. We're going to have to ply him with some donuts in between the two sessions to get those sugar levels back up to where they should be. Precious Akpe-Moses, disappointed with her performance in the 100 metres, but I think she was born for the 2. She's got a lovely stride, and this time she's on the outside as opposed to being on an inside lane. Serafina Kempf, the German national championship bronze medalist. Safarova, 23.4, looks focused and needs to be, because she's got the joint fastest woman in Europe in this age group behind her. Kajosh, World Junior 4x4 silver medalist last year in Peru. Petroci Konings of Belgium, sub 23.7 this year. Then to Canovi. 2 Italians in the first 2 semi-finals haven't made it through. Let's see if she can. 23.8, she might need a PB to do it, you know. Beatrice Tassan, personal best in Macedonia on the 25th of July, and an excellent win in the heats, 23.51. And on the inside, it's Selina Hagihara, national indoor champion over 60. She ran a PB at 23.6 in the European Team Champs at the end of June. So Hagihara of Denmark in 1, Tassan, France in 2, Canovi, Italy 3, Petroci Konings of Belgium in 4, Gajosh, probably the favourite here in 5, Safarova of Czechia in 6, Kempf, Germany 7, Akpe-Moses of Ireland in lane 8. The last semi-final, the last action on this long session on a Saturday morning here in Finland. The non-automatic spots, Helsdottir, Iceland, 23.51, and Tanazi, Switzerland, 23.6. Watch for Gashosh, the fastest in the field, in lane 5 for Poland. It's been a wonderful session of athletics, and it's coming to a close in fine style. Canovi's run a really quick bend, and so too Gajosh. And the fastest woman in this age group in the world this year in Europe, going well. Akpe-Moses on the left now coming into her running. I thought she was better over the 2. She was last in the 100 yesterday. Absolutely not the case. Wow, 23.61. That's much more like it from Akpe-Moses. We know what a fine athlete her sister is. Very, very tight for the second spot. I think Canovi just, but Akpe-Moses was wonderful round the outside. Who'd run a 23.07, misses out on the final. 23.72 will not be quick enough. Canovi getting the nod there by 100th of a second, so we do have an Italian in the final. But what an opportunity for Akpe-Moses. I think she was born for the 200. I really do. It gives her enough time to get that lovely long stride into full flow. And the Irish woman has bounced back from the disappointment in the 100 brilliantly.
Yes, it was her poor start in the 100 that was her undoing in that shorter sprint. Here, well, it wasn't a brilliant start by Akpe-Moses, but by about 30 metres, she started really motoring, really eating up the track, consuming the Ratina Stadium with every stride. See her coming off the bend. She's got Gadashos on her inside, but she's shoulder to shoulder with the pole and then starts pulling away. Canovi coming through really strongly, though, over the second half of the race. Just getting back in front of the pole, I think it is. Yes, just manages to edge in front. Splendid run by Precious Akpe-Moses. Just remember her sister, Gina, back in 2019, was the 100-metre champion. Just wondering whether she can add to the family gold reserves. Still, I have to say though, looking at the overall results though, my favourite is still going to be Mokobe. Still very impressed though with Lucy Talon in the semi-final that just preceded this.
Akpe Moses with a wonderful run there, but yeah, Mokobe equaling her PB in lane 7 in the first of the semi-finals. Very, very impressive indeed. Konovi ran really well on that bend. Gajos, well, she's just run out of gas. It wasn't into a strong headwind either, 0.4. Polish woman will be really disappointed because she tied up towards the end. Akpe Moses was away and clear on the left, but Konovi kept running all the way through to the line to ensure that there will be Italian representation in this final. After Valencin missed out in the first, Castellani missed out in the second. Well, I'm sure Akpe Moses' sister Gina will be over the moon with what her younger sister has achieved there. Precious Akpe Moses with a lifetime best, and Konovi as well, out-dipping Gajos, who has run a 23.07 this season. But it doesn't matter what you've done elsewhere, you have to nail it at the championships. Well, what a great final awaits us, Phil Minchell, in the 200 metres. Are we going to see another championship record? If the wind dies, I think Mokobe is going to fly.
I think she's going to fly, but that's a really tough championship record that's been on the books for many, many years. It stood since 1973, the second edition of these European Athletics Championship, Under-20 Championships.
That's before I was even born. You were about 25 at that time.
I did think you'd been rummaging through my private papers and found my birth certificate. Well, that's a bit scoundrel-like. Anyway, less of the banter, on with the action. Sylvia Danakova, personal best in the semi-finals of 23.44. Great semi-final win for this woman. Lucy Talon looks great. This is basically her first international outing. Precious Akpe Moses, excellent semi-final win as well for the woman, looking for redemption after finishing last in the 100 metres final. Now this woman though has to start as the favourite. 23.11 in May, and she's the fastest woman in this final, with the exception of this woman Taborska, but the Czech athlete hasn't been running quite as well. It's been very impressive from Mokobe. Konovi, well, kept Italian pride flying. Made the final, and the two favoured colleagues managed to not make the final. Helsdottir. And there's a big Swiss contingent as well. Tanazzi got a personal best as well in her semi-final to make this final. They haven't had much time to rest. Only about just over 3 hours. So Mokobe, so impressive this morning. Hails from Mainz. So a quick recap of the starters. Tanazzi, Switzerland. Helsdottir, Iceland. Konovi, Italy. Taborska, Czechia. Mokobe, Germany. Akpe Moses, Ireland. Talon of Great Britain, and Danakova of Czechia. And it's Akpe Moses who's streaking around the bend. At the moment, it's 3 abreast. It's Taborska, Mokobe, and it's Taborska who's battling against Mokobe. Mokobe now battling back, and out in lane 7, Lucy Talon comes through so strongly over the final 50 metres to grab a medal, but it goes to the favourite, Mokobe, 23.40. Well, the time diminished by that breeze in their faces of 2 metres per second, but there's nothing diminishing the joy of Judith Mokobe of Germany. Talon, I think, coming through on the outside very quickly, finishing very quickly in the final quarter of the race. I think she might have got the silver. But Mokobe fulfills her role as favourite. Yes, indeed, it is Talon. 22.49. Not quite as quick as her semi-final run. That's because of the wind. But on what's essentially her first international outing, what a performance from Talon. Taborska, well, she's ran 23.07 earlier this year, having to settle for the bronze on this occasion. And Akbar Moses, after that terrific first half of the race, round the bend, coming in shoulder to shoulder with Taborska and Mokobe, just out to the medals.
Great start from Akbar Moses. She was up on Lucy Talon, but Talon didn't panic. Talon has had an absolutely incredible 3 races, bearing in mind how inexperienced she is internationally. This was the point at which Taborska just had half a yard on Mokobe, but Mokobe didn't panic. At this point, I thought Talon might come through to take it, but Mokobe just had the strength on the line. Talon and Taborska, well, there was virtually nothing in it. 0.04 of a second in the end. They both thoroughly deserved their moment on the podium. Once we realised they were running into a 2-metre headwind, the championship record was never on. But that took real strength from Mokobe. And bearing in mind how strong that headwind was, 23.4 against a woman who's run 23.07 this season, a great win, and I think a good story for all 3 of them. And they'll all be delighted with their gold, silver and bronze. Talon, internationally, has come out of nowhere. She'll be over the moon with that, and clearly is.
Yes, Talon and Taborska given the same time of 23.49, but Talon, when it's broken down into the thousands, just ran 4 thousandths quicker. Teresa Taborska of Czechia came here having run very fast very early in the season at 23.07. Couldn't quite maintain that form. Mokobe, though, very much the favourite after seeing how she ran in the heats in the semi-final and fulfilled that role.
Great race. Taborska ran brilliantly round that bend, and Mokobe was starting to feel it. Brilliant composure, though, from the young German, who ran that 23.11 in the semis. Akbar Moses, well, a better performance from her than we saw in the 100. I think her future does lie over the 2, and maybe if her stamina improves, maybe even the 400.
Yes, I think you're right. I mean, given her stature and given her abilities over the 200 metres, and as you say, did run well, much better than she did in the 100 metres. But no denying Judith Mokobe. Sheer delight on the face of the German. There's confirmed results. Mokobe 23.40. Lucy Talon, Teresa Taborska 23.49, both runners, but Talon getting the silver by 4 thousandths of a second.
Hey, I'm Ellis Fitzgerald, and you need to go and sign up to European Athletics U20.